The Prime Minister lied. And all of this at a time when the terror threat level is rising and some Australians are feeling extremely unsafe.
I obviously have security with me at all times.
At a time when the terror threat level is rising, the Albanese government is, in my view, only making the threat to Australians worse by refusing to shut down the extremists and by bringing in, straight from the war zone, people who hate everything we stand for.
That's my style. I hope you've noticed that.
Especially when the security checks are far from adequate to make sure that those granted visas don't support extremist views and won't take part in violence.
I obviously have security with me at all times.
Now, back in November, the Prime Minister insisted the Palestinians they were flying into Australia would be here temporarily, just visitor visas.
These are not permanent visas. These are temporary visas. There are the same security checks that are in place for people, for Australians, that have been in place, this regime, for a long period of time.
Well, you heard it there, just temporary, not permanent. But then yesterday, Tony Burke, the new Immigration Minister, had a different message. He said that there were no plans to send the Palestinians back to Gaza.
Obviously, in all of this, we're in a situation, as is every country in the world, where people have fled, where no country in the world is sending people back to Gaza at the moment for obvious reasons.
Today we try to understand why Egypt and other Arab countries are unwilling to take in Palestinian refugees from Gaza.
Obviously, in all of this, we're in a situation, as is every country in the world.
So we have to work through what is the appropriate visa to be able to consider for these individuals. No country in the world would send people back to Gaza at the moment. No country in the world would do that. And so we have to work through what happens as the visas that people are currently on expires.
No less than the Prime Minister assured Australians this was just temporary. And now Burke's saying effectively he's going to look at other visa types. This was never temporary. The Prime Minister lied.
A great example of...
My word is my bond, but I had my fingers crossed.
We know this has been happening, but the Prime Minister tried to shift the blame away from his own government for this rise in violence that we're seeing. He just claimed it was part of a global trend.
There are many things driving this global trend towards violence. Governments around the world are concerned about youth radicalisation, online radicalisation.
And Australia's population growth rate of 2.5% was actually the highest since 1952. So these numbers are off the charts. We've got record immigration in every single major state across Australia.
And all of this at a time when the terror threat level is rising and some Australians are feeling extremely unsafe.
My mother dreamt of a better life for me.
I obviously have security with me at all times.